Do you want your soccer analysis more direct than an Arsenal set piece? Join me, Max Rushton, and The Guardian's expert soccer journalist for the latest action and news from the Premier League to the Champions League and all the way to the World Cup. We'll have chat more out of the box than a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, more panellists than Chelsea have players, and unlike VAR, we know where to draw the line. For fine margins, fun debates, and full-blooded tackles, Football Weekly. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and watch the full episodes on YouTube.
Cuando cumples 45, te toca soplar muchas velas y examinarte contra el cáncer de colon, ya que al detectarse temprano es más tratable en 9 de cada 10 personas. Usa la prueba de Cologuard en la privacidad de tu casa y envíala de regreso para obtener tus resultados. La prueba de Cologuard es una opción con receta para detectar el cáncer de colon en personas de 45 años o más con riesgo promedio. Resultados positivos deben ir seguidos de una colonoscopía. Pueden darse resultados falsos positivos y falsos negativos. La prueba de Cologuard no reemplaza la colonoscopía en pacientes de alto riesgo. No uses Cologuard si has tenido adenomas, si tienes enfermedad inflamatoria intestinal y ciertos síndromes hereditarios o un historial personal o familiar de cáncer de colon. Pide la prueba de Cologuard a tu médico. Para más información en español, visita cologuard.com/prueba.
On today's Smart 7, Trump threatens to obliterate Iranian power plants, Starmer sketch goes viral, and much more. It's Monday 23rd of March, it's National Puppy Day, and happy birthday, Mo Farah.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
The weekend saw no let-up in the war of words between Donald Trump and the Iranian government as Tehran refused to back down in the face of American and Israeli strikes. The Iranian leadership warned that a threat from the US president to obliterate Iranian power plants would result in attacks against energy facilities and desalination plants across the Middle East, along with a complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu was warning that while Iran remains a threat, there is no end in sight to the ongoing war, and America's allies need to commit to supporting the war effort.
President Trump's call to have the international community confront this terrorist, fanatic regime, that is a call not only for the security of America, it's for the security of the entire world. And it's time for them to act.
America's European allies have been reluctant to get involved, to the frustration of President Trump, but Housing Secretary Steve Reed was staying on message on Sunday.
We are working to do whatever we can to de-escalate this situation, and we're working with our allies because the best way to keep everybody safe is to bring it to a close.
Last Monday saw the beginning of Ramadan, and one of the events to mark the occasion was a public prayer event in Trafalgar Square. The sight of a large group of Muslims, including London Mayor Sadiq Khan, celebrating the beginning of the Holy Month sparked controversy, however, which has been running ever since. Tory Shadow Justice Minister Nick Timothy originally criticised the event, saying mass ritual prayer in public places is an act of domination. He was backed by Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, and Reform Party leader Nigel Farage was also critical of the event. Asked on Sunday about his reaction, Tory Shadow Housing Secretary James Cleverly was also wary.
Freedom of worship is an incredibly important cornerstone, but we also need to understand that we've seen times when British values are at odds with community practices.
Sadiq Khan dismissed the criticism, pointing out that Trafalgar Square has hosted events for Christians, Hindus and Sikhs, and Imam Ajmal Masroor says there was nothing remarkable about the event.
To suggest that a faith cannot practice its own faith in the choice of those people who are worshipping, in itself smacks of hypocrisy. If we have freedom, we allow freedom for people to do whatever they want, as long as it's within the law.
Last week saw Ukrainian President Zelensky in London, meeting with King Charles and Prime Minister Keir Starmer, along with NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte, and speaking to MPs at the House of Commons. The war in the Middle East has seen talks on peace in Ukraine stall, with Russia attempting to leverage its support of Iran to stop American aid to Ukraine. US and Ukrainian negotiators did meet in Florida on Sunday, and while the White House described the meetings as constructive, it's not clear what the next step might be. President Zelensky spoke to the BBC, and he says that for Ukraine, the focus has to be on the present.
We need to gather our strength. Unity is number one. Speed is number two. Not to compete about who has made a contribution to civilization and to the development of history. Because now we have people living. All this is now.
This weekend saw Sky One host a first of its kind, a UK version of American comedy staple, Saturday Night Live. The show featured SNL legend Tina Fey, along with a number of surprise star appearances, including Bridgerton's Nicola Coughlan and Graham Norton. The musical guest was Wet Leg, and early reviews were reasonably promising, with The Guardian saying it could have been worse. The opening sketch saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer, played by comedian George Fouracres, agonising over a call to US President Donald Trump before the only Gen Z Labour voter appears as an advisor, suggesting he leave a voice note. The US President retweeted the sketch clip with no comment on Sunday.
What do I say, Labby?
Just be yourself, Prime Minister. Yourself is who everyone likes.
Hello?
Still to come on today's Smart 7, in association with Metro, Man City win the Carabao Cup, and tributes to a legendary tough guy. Right after this.
¡Feliz cumpleaños, Rafa! ¡Sopla, sopla!
Traigan la manguera, que son 45.
Cuando cumples 45, te toca soplar muchas velas y examinarte contra el cáncer de colon, ya que al detectarse temprano es más tratable en 9 de cada 10 personas. Usa la prueba de Cologuard en la privacidad de tu casa y envíala de regreso para obtener tus resultados. La prueba de Cologuard es una opción con receta para detectar el cáncer de colon en personas de 45 años o más con riesgo promedio. Resultados positivos deben ir seguidos de una colonoscopía. Pueden darse resultados falsos positivos y falsos negativos. La prueba de Cologuard no reemplaza la colonoscopía en pacientes de alto riesgo. No uses Cologuard si has tenido adenomas, si tienes enfermedad inflamatoria intestinal y ciertos síndromes hereditarios o un historial personal o familiar de cáncer de colon. Pide la prueba de Cologuard a tu médico. Para más información en español, visita cologuard.com/prueba.
Looking for soccer analysis more knowing than a Carlo Ancelotti eyebrow raise? With the World Cup around the corner, join me, Max Rushton, and The Guardian's expert soccer journalist on Football Weekly for all the latest soccer action and news throughout the week. We'll cover more ground than Jude Bellingham in a Champions League final, with conversations sharper than an Arsenal set piece. For fine margins, fun debates, and full-blooded tackles, Football Weekly. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and watch the full episodes on YouTube.
Welcome back.
It was a busy Premier League weekend ahead of the international break, with Man United drawing with Bournemouth on Friday, while Everton beat Chelsea and Brighton beat Liverpool on Saturday. Sunday saw Spurs lose 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest, while Sunderland beat Newcastle 2-1. Sunday also saw the Carabao Cup final, with Manchester City facing Arsenal at Wembley. It didn't go well for Mikel Arteta's team, with City dominating the game and winning 2-0 to pick up their first league trophy since 2021. Manager Pep Guardiola sounded genuinely delighted.
I'm really pleased because I know against the opponent we face, Mikel create a team like is almost unbeatable, and especially the way we that make us happy, and of course bring the 5th Carabao Cup in 10 years is not bad.
Friday was Red Nose Day, with BBC stars combining to raise £30 million for charity with events across the country. The TV show, which was hosted by Davina McCall, featured a host of big-name guests, including Alison Hammond, who starred in a sketch about celebrities attempting to rob a bank, and a trailer for a new movie version of The Traitors, which featured Ian Sterling and Vicky Pattinson alongside Claudia Winkleman. The single most impressive feat, though, had to be Radio 1's Greg James's tandem cycle from Weymouth to Edinburgh, which raised a whopping £4 million. Greg was sounding a little tender afterwards.
It's the most extraordinary amount of money, and I'm really genuinely blown away, and I'm trying to steady myself today, and a nice long hot bath I think is part of that. I feel kind of all over the place, but in a really good way.
This weekend saw a number of well-known names pass away, including former FBI Director and Special Counsel Robert Mueller, along with ex-Buffy the Vampire Slayer star Nicholas Brendon, and Canadian supernatural actress Carrie Ann Fleming. Friday brought news of the passing of legendary tough guy Chuck Norris at 86 years of age. Norris was a martial artist and an actor who starred in more than 40 movies and the long-running TV show Walker, Texas Ranger. He was an Air Force veteran and held black belts in 5 different martial arts before creating his own and founding a training school. He was also a lifelong Christian and conservative Republican and was made an honorary US Marine in 2007. He spoke to Conan O'Brien in 1995 about how Bruce Lee talked him into becoming an action star. Rest in peace, Chuck.
Bruce was really ahead of his time. So he called me up and said, I want to do a movie with a fight scene that everyone will remember called Return of the Dragon. He said, would you come over and do the fight scene with me? I said, well, do I have to lose? He says, yeah, you have to lose. So I said...
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
¡Feliz cumpleaños, Rafa! ¡Sopla, sopla!
Traigan la manguera, que son 45.
Cuando cumples 45, te toca soplar muchas velas y examinarte contra el cáncer de colon, ya que al detectarse temprano es más tratable en 9 de cada 10 personas. Usa la prueba de Cologuard en la privacidad de tu casa y envíala de regreso para obtener tus resultados. La prueba de Cologuard es una opción con receta para detectar el cáncer de colon en personas de 45 años o más con riesgo promedio. Resultados positivos deben ir seguidos de una colonoscopía. Pueden darse resultados falsos positivos y falsos negativos. La prueba de Cologuard no reemplaza la colonoscopía en pacientes de alto riesgo. No uses Cologuard si has tenido adenomas, si tienes enfermedad inflamatoria intestinal y ciertos síndromes hereditarios o un historial personal o familiar de cáncer de colon. Pide la prueba de Cologuard a tu médico. Para más información en español, visita cologuard.com/prueba.
Do you want your soccer analysis more direct than an Arsenal set piece? Join me, Max Rushton, and The Guardian's expert soccer journalist for the latest action and news from the Premier League to the Champions League and all the way to the World Cup. We'll have chat more out of the box than a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick, more panellists than Chelsea have players, and unlike VAR, we know where to draw the line. For fine margins, fun debates and full-blooded tackles, Football Weekly. Listen wherever you get your podcasts and watch the full episodes on YouTube.